I've stuffed up big time. Sorry, guys. Anyway, looks like we're vertical today, so that'll be fun. I've only been home about 10 minutes and I actually scheduled this in the car coming home. A bit slacked. Anyway, here we got Stuart. G'day. Bill and Stuart we got. Tea and biscuits too. G'day. I think fridge is still working late, so we mightn't have him. We got Mark Osborne. That's awesome. Journeyman Randy we got early. Sorry to wake you up so early. Mark Shed Talk we got as well. Hey guys. Sorry about the horizontal. Apologies for that. But I forgot to click the button, I think. And can't do it afterwards. It's a stupid stupid YouTube feature. It's been one of those weekends. Jeez Louise, actually, gosh, bit under the pump and achieved nothing. So that was a bit of a write-off, to be honest. What am I doing? Gosh, got these two beasts out. These are actually School's traction engine and School's marine engine. Kenneth Wells engine. Built these a few years back. It's a nice engine, this. Very nice little steam engine. If you're looking for, this book's available in print again, I think. If you want a steam engine to build that's a proven design that is going to test your skills at every level, and you're going to end up with a nice professional little engine without a whole lot of learning and not very much prior knowledge, this KW is a really good place to start. I've said that before. I'd watch that video, Bill. So this is a really good place to start. It's got everything from, the book's got everything from castings to sheet metal work to boiler work to silver soldering, soft soldering, machining, threading, all that stuff. It's in there, and it's a very pretty, very well built, well made. Got light here, so it's not dark. Sorry, guys. Very pretty, well made engine. If you've got looking for a project, you can't go much past this, to be honest. I built this one, and then I went ahead and built the engine in the rest of the book, which is that one, which is the same bits basically, with a few extra castings. So it's a different, I guess, a different itineration or iteration of that engine. Same boiler, pretty much. This is a bit better boiler. I think it's got to stay through the middle of it. It's probably a later model. That mightn't have been a bad boiler with a stay through it too. You wouldn't have a lot of traction because you haven't got the weight. Tea and biscuits. That's my thoughts. But this is a pretty nice little engine. It's a good build. It's all there. This has got a canopy too, and my thought is, before Glenray Timberfest, if it actually goes ahead and all that stuff, which I think it probably will, my thoughts are to put the canopy back on this. It's here somewhere, and I got it out with a view to cleaning it up and putting the canopy on it and getting this back up and running as an agricultural engine again. So, nice little engine. I was going to give it a run yesterday and it never happened. I did run my new Walesko or new old stock Willesco, which I haven't run before. Here's fridge. Must have finished for the day. Is it raining, fridge? There we go. That's the big question. It is raining. That's nice. Can't beat a bit of rain, really. Dan may not even make it home. It's raining. Right, that's not fun. Not impressed. I had to reprint this because some idiot ran off with my patterns, which I'm a bit annoyed about. But anyway, people are like that. So this is the impeller core box. You've seen that before. So I did a bit on that. Let's print that and cast that impeller. We've got to do that impeller in a sort of a matter of urgency. So that job's ready to go nearly. So I did a bit on that. Did a bit on this. This is Bill's hardness tester head for the Akashai Japanese hardness tester. It's a very nice thing, except don't really know how it works yet. I'm going to do some research on that. I've got this dial indicator back together except for the hand. It's actually pretty good, I think. It's readable again. It wasn't for a bit. And it needs a glass in it, and it needs... I'm not sure the spring's really got enough weight in it yet. But we've got to make a new cover for this to go over the top. So that's a job. We've got the indicator looking sort of half good. Could put the hand back on it. Probably I'm going to have to put another wind on the spring. I'm not sure whether it's just a tension spring or whether it's an actual hairspring or a balance spring. But I've got to put another wind on it, and there's some issues with the thread in this nut that goes on the outside, which I'm not happy with. Going to have to fix that. And it needs a crystal in it. Anyway, it's coming back together, and we've got to put a case on it with an opening on each side so you can move this dial without taking the cover off, and then an opening in the front. I think this had a clear plastic top on it. I don't know if that's what we're going to do, or whether we're going to cast one in aluminium with a hole in it, or what we're going to do, or whether we're going to cast bits in aluminium and then or whether we're going to probably make 3D printed parts and then cast a clear plastic or a resin piece for it. I don't know yet. We'll have a look. Hey Raymond. Anyway, this has been through fire and brimstone, etc., and it was a bit of a mess, but no harm done in this except that there's smoke damage and it needed a good clean up. Got it all sorted pretty well, so that's the hard bit done. Got to make a cover for this and get it back to him sometime pretty quick because it's been too long. Sorry, Bill. But we're working on it now. We had a live stream with the CAD program. We did a bit on this last night, which wasn't particularly productive, but I had another look at it afterwards, and I've sort of got a part, but it needs some proper measurements. So it's a fun thing because it's all fun shapes. Don't know yet, but something nice will happen on this. We'll get it all sorted and we can get it back to him and be pretty happy with that. I've got sand here everywhere from cores. Outback Shed, g'day. Anyway, we'll get that sorted. Get that fixed. Nice clear glass in it and all that stuff. So it all works. I've got pictures and stuff, so I'm going to have another look. What else is happening? I spent a few hours on this. you can nearly feel the mirror. It's starting to feel the mirrors rattling. When it's idle, you know, you can hear. You've got to put a few revs on it so the mirrors all straighten out, so you can actually see what's behind you to pull out or back onto the trailer. Bit of an ongoing thing. This is a bit of a project. We've all been following it, I guess, and thank you. So, got the sides pretty comfortably in place on the cab. They've been sanded and filled to within an inch of their life, and they probably need a bit more, but they're looking pretty good. They still need a little bit around the uprights and the windows, but most of that will be covered up. The doors I'm not 100% happy with yet. The hinges are about Mark III itineration to put them on. And we've got a roof which seems to be a fraction narrow, I think, so I might reprint the roof. But anyway, if we have a look here, we've got a gear lever there by the steering wheel. We've got a tacho over here. We've got speedo, speedo on the steering wheel, and we've got a clutch and a brake and a throttle. Have a look. There's an electrical box. Where can we see that? There we go. Down between the steering wheel there. There's an electrical box with an amp meter and the red light, and there's a heater in there against the dashboard too. You see that behind the steering wheel. Heater boxes there. The 12-speed levers there, 6-speed lever with a splitter, and the handbrakes under the seat. Still got to make a piece for the middle there, but I've been procrastinating, a cover for the bonnet. And these doors are woeful so far, but we're working on that. We've got to put some windows and things in them. Engine mounts on the back. Starting to look all right. Hey Nigel. Hope you're feeling better. Got the lights on, got the vents on, sort of. Radiator cap in the centre. So this is, I guess, getting this bit nice. The chassis is pretty well finished. It's a matter of getting the cab right, but there we go. So that's happening. At some point I'm going to need to spend some more time on that. Had the staking tool out to do some work on this, put some bits back together. I guess we're all familiar with the staking tool. It's a heavy artillery for me nowadays. I don't sort of pull this out very often. But watchmaker's staking tool there, a complete one. I've owned about 6 of these in my lifetime, and it's always been an upgrade. This is not a bad little set, and it does me. It's not certainly a full set. Oh, good stuff with no surgery, Nigel. That's fantastic. Hope you're feeling better soon. This doesn't have quite a lot of stakes for some of the jobs that you would do as a full service watchmaker, and I'm not really feeling like that's a terrible thing, to be honest. Hasn't got any of the Tampion stakes for cylinder escapements, which in my lifetime I've used quite a lot of, and I've got a set somewhere, but they match this, but they're put away somewhere else. I've no idea where. Hasn't got. There's a few stakes it hasn't got. I had a big Bowley set which I've moved on, and I think I gave it away. That had everything in it, but there was a few stakes and and bases and stamps and things all missing, but this isn't terrible. It's very basic, but it's all there, and it's still in nice condition. There's no wear in it. It's got basically stumps go in the hole there, and stake goes in the top, and you can line that up, lock that down in the right spot. And then this tool is used sort of for putting wheels and things on arbors and all those sort of things. If you're really rough, it's used for closing up holes in clock plates, that sort of thing. But probably it's not good for the machine, and it's working it a bit hard. But for lining up and centering and putting like pieces on other pieces and press fits and things, is a very, very nice, accurate little tool. Bill, please don't be an enabler, because I won't be responsible for the consequences. Just saying. So that's been out. It goes back in the cupboard, and I use it occasionally, but that's not a bad one. I don't know what brand it is. I think, has it got anything written on it? It's a bit rough, but I reckon it's probably a cheap 1920s tool, which never had a name on it. It'd be French made or German made. Might be American, but it's not a bad little staking set. Anyway, that's just something that interests me, so that's all out. It's not a particularly useful sort of an insight into it, but it's one of those things that is under my bench, and I get it out occasionally. So what happened on the weekend? I'm not sure I did anything or achieved anything, to be honest. Went up on Sunday to Caboolture Historical Village. They had a open day. It's fun to have a walk around. Not very much happening in the historical village, I don't think. There's a lot of stuff sort of on display, but nothing really working. There was a good stationary engine display. I feel like little engines that sit in the corner and go pop, 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 pop. But there were some really nice ones too. Like, there's some good restoration. Mark and Mark from Mark's channel that everyone's familiar with, I'm sure. They had Ian Fordyce's Aveling DT roller in Steam. I did a couple of laps on that, but I was really not sure it was particularly helpful. Mostly just had to walk around and look. And appreciate the opportunity though, Mark. It was a good day. Anyway, I went back to Mark's and talked about projects and things, because yeah, there's always projects that need talking about. Some of them actually need doing, but that's beside the point. Borrowed his injector, which is in a bad way, to be honest, Mark. Sorry. This is a bit rough, actually. You're going to need to do some work on this. I'll find another one. Don't want to be that person. It might work, but I don't know. But it is the same as the one on the roller. And as such, it's got this piece. Right? Now, it's got exactly the same problem as the one on the roller had, except that we finished the one on the roller off, and it's been silver soldered up again, but it's not real good. In that this top curve here is pulling out. Now, these are available out of the UK. They're not cheap, right? They're not cheap, and the guy was pretty useless at all with sort of organising it, and he only sold me a set of 3, which is this one, and this one, and this one. So 1, 2, 3. They're all the same part as far as I know. And the tail, which screws into the pipe joint, right? This tail's probably all right for one of them. I don't know if you're going to get a lot of seal on there because this doesn't screw down far enough to actually lock it down. I think it could be fixed. I think it's just dirty thread. But the top's been chopped out too. Anyway. Go make a couple of them. So brought that home. Thanks heaps, Mark, for the lead into that, and we'll get that sorted. That's fixable. Went to on Monday. I went to, was it Monday? Yeah, it was Monday. Tuesday. What did I do Monday? Did some laundry. What else did I do on Monday? Must have done some driving around doing something else on Monday, did I? I know the 3D printer went most of the day. What else did I do? Oh, I did some work on those. And I did some work on that. And what else? I did some work, cut that link to bar for that and stuff too. So, got that sorted. Tuesday, I Monday or Tuesday? I think it was Tuesday. I drove around looking for brass angle all day, and this piece of bronze, right, and also a piece of hex fixed because there's some hex nuts to be made. So that's the job. There's a bit of bronze for that, enough there to get a couple of nuts out of, and some brass angle for Phil, because Phil's like tea and biscuits. Don't bring that sort of crap up. It's people like you that cause unrest. I'm just saying. I've got a whistle to finish. Don't do that. Anyway, so Phil's got a Argyle car, which is what this impeller's out of. This is Argyle car impeller. And he's like, where do I get brass angle? Are you going to George Weston? Can you get me some brass angle? Of course, so I went and brought George Weston, and that was easy. I was going to go, got too late, so I didn't go Monday. And then Tuesday, I spent most of Monday on the phone, to be honest, ringing people. Anyway, Tuesday, I was going to go to George Weston, so I didn't leave early enough, and I got there about 1 o'clock. And of course, they're closed from lunch from 11 till 2, because that's how it is. They're open, their store is open. Their store is open from 11 from 9 till 11, and from 2 till 3:30, which is not particularly helpful. So, what happened? So I sat around there for an hour waiting for him to open. So that wasted an hour. And then I picked up Phil's 19 by 3/4 by 16 brass angle, is 8 meters of it or something, for running board skirts on his car, which I'm going to drop off to him. Phil's actually doing a job, or he's done a couple of jobs for me for the roller, so I've got to pick them up at some point, probably Saturday night, on my way down to Fridges for a day Sunday, if that's going to happen, if it's not raining too much. So that was the question. Anyway, that was the question. So, if it's not raining, so I'm probably going to go down. If it is raining, I'm probably going to go down on Monday or something anyway, because there's stuff to do. But I think if it's still raining on Monday, in fact, if it's still raining on Saturday, I don't think our road run the next weekend is going to happen, to be honest. That's where I'm going with that, and probably it's not going to happen at this stage, but we haven't called it yet. We said the 25th, so we'll talk about it then. Anyway, I'm all prepared to go down there. I've got to put some registration plates in the roller, and I've got to, what else have we got to do? I'm going to put the irons back on. I've got to put a couple of pins back in some of the running gear. There you go. Dan says it won't, so that's a bit sucky, to be honest, because I was starting to build up to be looking forward to that. Took a little bit of time to actually get up to speed on that, but I'll probably still go down there that weekend. If we get a few fine days, I'll go down anyway, and we'll do something cool. Anyway, so there's things to do, and I've got to call in at Phil's, who's sort of about halfway actually, and drop off his angle. And what else have I got to drop off? This impeller would be really nice. I don't know if that's going to work. We'll make sure the brakes work and all that stuff, yeah. Anyway, so that's what's happening at the moment. Things are pretty flat out. If Fridge gets flooded out, which he thinks he will, he'll probably go and help the Mackies on the weekend. That's fair. If they've got something going on. Yep. Righto. Where did all the water come from, and why is it still raining at the end of May? That's the big questions that we need to ask people. I blame, personally, the vapor trails, and probably to a lesser extent the flat earthers. But definitely the vapor trails. Dan's onto it. You see, we're on the same page as far as the weather goes. We know exactly what causes it. It's big vapor trail. We know that. Stuart lives in Tasmania, and he's not convinced because it's always cloudy and you don't see the vapor trails. But they're there. I'm just saying, they're there. It's definitely a big farmer. Anyway. What other exciting things have happened? Right. Laser cutting. That's what I spent Monday doing, is organising that. Sunday or two, I spent some time organising that. Actually, Trump's passed a law in America that, or Florida's passed a law saying that it's actually now a federal offence to be caught putting vapor trails up. So, interesting. Anyway, so yeah, laser cutting was a bit of a... trails make it worse anyway. Yeah, there won't be any will. They do. Where the faces, yeah. Anyway, all it is it's very wet, and it shouldn't be wet this late in the year, but it is wet, and it's playing havoc with my plans for the next 6 months. On account of the rain. Dad can't see too many charges getting laid in Florida anytime soon. No, I can't either. I'm not sure how you police that. And I haven't heard of a lot of charges, but there's a lot of corruption going on in America that they've stopped and they haven't charged anyone, so maybe they're not prosecuting. Just saying. So, laser cutting's done. No, laser cutting's half done. I'm probably cutting it out as we speak. It's probably I'm going to get an email tomorrow or the next day saying your laser cutting's done. They're probably going to say it's Monday, but it'd be very nice to have it for the weekend, because if I don't go south this weekend, I'm probably going to go to the foundry and fix this. And if I do that, I'll probably take Mark's laser cut up to him too and all that stuff. So it'd be very nice to have it here for the weekend. So probably if I get an email tomorrow to say it's ready, I could go Friday morning and pick it up. if I don't, it's going to be Monday morning and pick it up. But anyway, we'll see how we go with that. I stuffed up the quote. Now, laser cutting quoting is a bit strange with this company. I don't know how it works. I think it's on volume. Like, they measure up the weight of the steel and then there's a certain rate for that much weight, I think is how it works. It's the only way it can work. What they do... That sounds like a really good idea, Dan. That sounds like an excellent idea. We'll be down for that. That sounds an excellent idea because this generator's here. I've got that too. So better drop that off to you. Generators for the Ferguson tractor. You probably stay at Phil's. I'm not convinced that that's dry, but he's about halfway up the hill, so it's very unlikely that you're going to be sleeping in a puddle. And his house is on a platform, like it's not like sitting in the dirt. Now I stuffed up the laser cut order. I got everything sent off and discovered that I'd exported all the CAD files as imperial measurements rather than metric measurements, which doesn't work because all their software is picked up is the units rather than the actual, or is picked up the measurements rather than the actual units. So instead of them quoting on bits that were 15 by 30 inches, they were quoting on bits that were 15 by 30 centimetres, or 15 by 30 millimetres, which is a colossal difference. So the quote was way off. I thought it was going to be way off. So when I realised this, I'd already paid the bill and got the go-ahead on it. That was Friday. So I sent them an email and said, hey, look, please slow down on that. We're going to have to re-quote it because I've just discovered this. And I sent all the existing files through as metric files. So instead of something being 25 millimetres by 25 millimetres, or instead of being like 10 millimetres by 10 millimetres, it was actually 10 inches by 10 inches with 250 mil by 250 mil, stuff like that. So got that sorted and got a quote. So she quoted on it. They're fantastic. They run rings around the quote. The quoting system's excellent. I don't know how it works, but it's excellent. So by about, I had the quote to them Sunday night, and by about 10 o'clock Monday morning, she was back on had one back saying, this is what it's going to cost. The original quote was $437 or something for 16 files I sent. It's 54 parts all up. I think 54 parts. Some of them are not big, some of them are quite big. So what I did, was sent the parts, and there was a couple extra parts in as well because Phil said, oh, this piece you're doing for me, I would really like, there was a piece in it for him and I'd like 2 of them, so I got another one of them. And his parts were basically a stencil about 100 by 400 with letters on it cut into it. It's quite a complicated part, and in 1.6 inch seal. And the original quote had them listed at $40 roughly, $38, $39 or something each, which wasn't terrible. But when I got the new quote back, and here's the thing that's a bit difficult to follow, because this story is not at all convoluted, I understand that. When I got the new quote back, the new quote was for $540, $547 or something. It was just over $100 more. It's $100 plus GST extra. So I paid rang up and paid the quote and went looking a bit harder because it's the way you do things. And fuse parts, instead of being $39, were now $7.60. And the two folded up pieces for the lamp bulbs to go in my running lamps for the roller, instead of being $20 each, are only $6.95 or something. And the two plates that I got cut for the roller as basically a jig to hold the mag drill so I could drill a hole in the bottom of the smoke box. Instead of being $38 each, we're down to about $15 each. And everything else was sort of a lot cheaper. Now, the linchpins that go in the ash pan, which are sort of, they're not huge, right? They're cut out in a shape, but they're really only, they're about that long and they're about that deep with an edge on it and two holes in them. They're not in a curve on one side. It's not complicated, not a complicated piece, and there's 24 of them because I've got two sets of them, and there's 12. There's 6 of them. Yeah, two halves of 12, so I've got two sets of them, so it's 24 pieces. Instead of them being $2.80 each when they were only this big, because they were inch pieces, right? They were this long, at a 3mm plate, same material. They were only 99 cents each. So I don't understand how it works, because obviously they've pressed the button and said, this is how much this plate weighs. This is the rate that you get to do that job. And before, it weighed only a fraction of the price, so the rate wasn't quite as attractive. So when I got fire bars done, they were only about the same price. And that was all half-inch plate, and there was a fair bit of it. Like, there was a stack of it. Anyway. Dan, I'm probably going to ignore that last comment. They're not worth anything unless they've only got 2 wheels. That's all I'm saying. So that's where we're at with that. Yeah, I'm going to pretend that you didn't say that, and I'm going to pretend you didn't do that. And we'll all feel better for it. Anyway. So that's on its way. They said 5 days turnaround, and they're usually pretty good on that. Last few times have only been 3 or 4 days, and she spent a lot of time quoting it in a minute's notice. So I'm obviously thinking they're probably not as busy as they could be either. So maybe it'll be ready Thursday, and if it is, I'll go over before work Friday morning and pick it all up, which would be exciting. And take fuse bits down and all that stuff. Anyway, that's what's happened really in the last week. It's all been cut. Is there anyone else actually? They're all asleep. Sorry, Dan. They've put them all asleep. No one's realising that. I really hope you didn't buy a Barrows portable, because I don't know where you're going to put it. That's all I'm saying, is that it's all very well having a shed, but the shed ain't big enough. And I mean, Barrows is only a little one, but honestly. It says there's 15 people watching this, so I think they've all fallen asleep. That's where I say with that. We've got 3 thumbs up too, which is really awesome. You're in charge of the bigger shed department, so that's between you and whoever your God is. Anyway, so running light's done. Gear case is done. Ash pan what do they call them? Linchpins for the ashpan are done. Motion covers are done. That's pretty exciting. Dust covers are done. Like inspection covers for guards. Anyway, got a lot. That's quite a lot of progress, which means that I'll be able to get this plate on the roller at some point, probably even before the National Rally if we really have a bit of a go, which would be really awesome. I'm going to need Stu's hand with that. It's going to need Phil's hand with that because he's a blacksmith and fairly useful person to know. I'm going to go and talk him up. I think he owes me at the moment because I've got a brass angle for him. Anyway, that's what's happening. Except as it's wet. Dan says she got her hand real fast. Yes, it does, and that's the trouble with having a bigger shed. If you'd been happy with the smaller shed, then shit wouldn't have got any worse, and we would have got some stuff done. Just saying. Anyway, I've still got stuff to do, whether you buy more stuff or not. I've still got projects to do, so I'd rather get them done. Project priority after this round, and the roller goes to Toowoomba for the rally, and I don't have to worry about it for 3 weeks or a month. Is steam whistle. What else? Some guards and parts for the lathe. Finally get my 3-cutting gear up and going properly. And steering gear. So they're the things that I really, really, really need. So steering gear is well underway. We've got, I think I showed that last time, got the cores that work for this from this score box. They're still not scaled quite correctly. I'm going to have to print another one of these because this is actually a fraction big, and I think if anything it needs to be a fraction small to allow for shrinkage. So we're going to work that out. Get 2 of them made so I can make the cores, or 3 of them, or whatever, so we can really get in and make some cores. And we need to get this truck finished. Before the end of August. I've also said, and this is a stupid thing, like this is a really stupid thing. I also said that I would participate in the poster swap or the panel swap again with the letterheads this year. Dan's got a shrinkage problem. He's going to have more of a shrinkage problem after she found he bought a new portable. I'm just saying that if she does find that out, shrinkage is not going to be your issue. Or maybe it is. I did say I'd participate in the panel swap, but it's not anywhere near as complicated as last year. I don't think. We're going to tone it down a bit. Got a bit of panel ready to go. I'll get onto that. It's just fallen into place. I realise why you want another shed somewhere else, is people can't actually tell what you're buying. And it's just occurred to me that that's a thing. Righto. Anyway, still not responsible. There's also a set of Land Rover doors to do. If there's any progress on them at all, I'd like to get on and do that. Pretty exciting. I've sort of got ideas about that. I've got a portable to put some stripes on at some point. That's another job that really needs doing pretty quick. Not a big deal. There's probably a couple of hours work and it's not a big deal. There's some sign painting jobs. Now, I also need to work out whether sign painting is something that is going to pay the extra bit I need to work on enough for me to quit my job. But anyway, with caveats, so that's all happening too. Anyway, all those projects are on the wrong side of the river, so I don't have to worry about them. Not a big deal. Anyway, that's what's happening in the shed. It's all happening. There's bits happening everywhere. I've got this pattern that I'm printing as we speak. Oh, well, not as we speak, but I've been at it. This is Williams bearing brasses for his little stationary engine, so that's a job that needs doing. These need casting too at some point if we're going to do some bronze casting. If we're going to pour some bronze at some point, probably when we get up there next time. We need a couple of sets of these, which is the brasses for that bearing block over there. Not that we need the bearing blocks, but they'd be nice to have them kicking around in case we do need them. Someone's fixed the shed so it's lock up. That's pretty exciting. So the shed's officially finished. Well, not quite. There's a couple of bits of flashing to go on it, but it's pretty well finished. What else? I'd like to set this up with a couple of other models, like vintage ones or vintage tools I've got for steam engines. This is the Myford Boy bandsaw. I don't know if you saw this. He sent me a casting and I made it up because it's a pretty cool little project. It's a good fun project. If you're looking for an easy toy steam project to do, and you live in, especially if you live in the UK, but even if you live here, postage on this is not expensive. It's not a heavy piece, but nice castings, and it's a fun little project. So I made this one up. It's got a rubber band goes around it for a belt, and it's V-belt drive and 3D printed parts, and he actually supplied the 3D printed parts, which is pretty cool. And I just made the bits. Basically made a bolt to go in there and a shaft to go through here, and it's Loctited together. There's not much to it, and then this little table's made out of aluminium with 2 screws in it. So that's a fun little project. It's a nice little workshop project. I've got a couple of others that are vintage, Bing and Marklin and so forth, and I'd like to put them on a board. And I like to put them on a board with this, which is the Myford Boy engine. This is a very nice engine. A bit top heavy, but nice simple little piston valve engine. This was Myford Boy's test bed, and he did improve this. He built one with a big bed that's got a generator on it, and that's a very nice engine. And if I had seen that come out before, this is slipper centric. It's also loose. Something's loose here. What's loose here? Might have to re-Loctite that. Might fix that. This was Myford Boy's test bed, I guess, for this cylinder block. And then he built another one of these with a generator on the outringer outside the flywheel. That's a nice little engine. And he used this for a traction engine, which is a very good cylinder for a traction engine. That's a very nice model. It's quite a bit more complicated than that. It's nearly as good as a Mini, I would say. It's sort of intermediate between this and a Mini, but very nice little engine. The watch is green. Yep, there you go. You're green with envy now. I show you. It's a vintage tag. A little bit nice. So this could probably do with a pull apart and clean up too. This could do with the pull apart and clean up, and this could do with the pull apart and clean up. I'd do them all in a day probably if I really got into them. So that'd be good. We'll see what happens. But if all goes to plan and there's a situation that might happen or might not, These might get a run at Glenray Timber Festival if someone wants to take them on. But I won't have time. And Fridge won't have time, but someone might. So, I've turned the flash on there. Look at that. You can just turn the flash on from here now. That's very cool. Don't know what all the other things do. You can retouch stuff. Turn the retouch on and off. I don't know if that's making a difference, is it? Does that look like it's making a difference to you? I don't know. Press all these buttons, we're going to mess something up. I'm going to start a highlight there. I need at least 1 minute. We can turn the video off like that. How cool is that? David, g'day. Gosh, we could have a green screen. Don't know how that works. It's going to mess with you. I'm not sure the green screen works. Let's share them. We can share pictures. How cool is that? I've just discovered I can share pictures. This is a new feature. There is George Weston Brass Founders. That's their shop hours, in case you were thinking I was put on your leg. You'll get a lot of memes. Now this is, hey. Anyway, no stress about that, Dan, either way. I'd be very happy if it doesn't. This is a, I've just discovered I can do this. How cool is this? Anyway, this is a Fowler swing out steersman seat. This could be very dangerous, but this is an absolute feature. This wasn't here last week. I'm not sure how good it is. We can share pictures, and there's too many pictures to share. But this is stay away from the OnlyFans selfie folder. We will, yes, absolutely. This is probably not the genuine seat on this, but these are two rollers, or two road locomotives that are all owned by an acquaintance in the UK, and they both have the Fowler genuine seat on there. That's how that works, if anyone's interested. Can't share video. When I was talking about the motion covers, this is what that looks like. This is really not a particularly good feature, but anyway, we'll live with it, and it might be helpful. But that's the motion covers, and not a particularly good picture of that. But they're the bits that we've got cut. I don't know if there's anything else on there. Anyway, we can close that. There we go. Excellent. Interesting. I might actually use that eventually. Anyway, that's pretty much what's happening. It's all happening, and another weekend of actual production rather than driving around trying to do things for people. And I might get some of this done. A Toby engine, a Roby engine, not a Toby engine. I'm not sure why this fingers. It's a bit mystery. It's sort of, I think that might need some refinement as a system, but anyway. Did you buy the Roby? There we go. There's some pictures for David, who's a Kenneth Wells fan. A couple of nice little Kenneth Wells engines, I think. Anyway. That's about it. There's other stuff happening, right? There's always other stuff happening, but nothing that's particularly useful or helpful to the channel. So I'm going to probably say I call this. I really appreciate anyone who's tuned in. Appreciate your time and effort to come and watch the live stream, because it's awesome to have you all in. I'm probably going to go and sit down and actually relax a bit, but and there'll be questions to ask people when I finish here. But anyway, that's what's happening. There's lots of things on the bench, and we're working on them all. I would like very much in the next week to get that hardness tester fixed. I'd like to get a board with some of these engines on them, get the rest of these out, and get them all set up with a line shaft or something maybe. A few bits to do. Get the rest of this pattern done for a start, and get that impeller cast. And pick up the laser cutting. They're the big things. Anyway, take care, and be kind to each other, especially to me. Don't go and weaponise your politics and be an idiot about it on social media, because the only person who looks like an idiot is you. As much as you want to try and make everyone else look like an idiot by the smart things you say, I'm one of those people, but you're the only one that looks like an idiot, so just leave it alone. And go do something cool in the workshop instead. My Dale Derry says, make something cool. Anyway, hey James, you're just in time, and I'm done. So thanks, guys.